Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Wonders of the Force Star Wars podcast. It is myself, George. Tonight I'm joined by Dave. Not only am I doing an intro, but we have an absent Phil, who is busy in Poland on an X-Wing tournament, so we are missing him tonight. And we are introducing our brand new show. We come up with the name of it literally an hour ago, like execute, order, list, and lists. It sounds a bit like 66, and this is our little version of a list show because it's something we've wanted to do for a while. We did a kind of test with the top 10 Star Wars Legos, which me and you did on May the 4th. So as you can see, getting the pilots to season has took us a mere 3 months. And
it's quite ridiculous.
It's nice though. Like, it's an idea. We've kind of sat down, we've gone through ideas of stuff we want to do, and this is one where we think there's a lot of potential. We want to kind of time it so if you've been away from the news, you may have heard on Friday, not only did they do a whole Disney Plus panel, but Ewan McGregor himself turned up, didn't say hello there.
No, an opportunity missed, I feel.
I mean, it was all well and good introducing with Jewel of the Fates and that, but if he'd have just like come down on like a zip wire, grabbed the microphone and said hello there, how on earth could that have not? I mean, that's
in full Kenobi costume as well.
Yeah, I mean, why didn't he do that? We're such spoiled brats. I mean, to be fair, I've got to give him credit because he just went to Captain Gears. Can you ask me one final time, will I play Obi-Wan Kenobi? Because let's be honest, this guy's had this question asked at every single press for any film he's promoted. The last 6 years since Disney took over.
That was what I would have done as his intro. I would have had all these interview clips of just interviews going, so you're gonna play Obi-Wan Kenobi? No, playing Obi-Wan Kenobi. Well, if they asked me all that just for about a good solid couple of minutes and then brought him out.
I would have loved it. I mean, we didn't get to watch anyway because none of D23 gets streamed, but there are footages available online. But we will discuss that
at length.
On Wednesday. Yeah, on our episode on Wednesday. Tonight is the list. So inspired by Disney Plus, we've kind of sat down and we've had to think what would be the top 5 ideas you want for a new live-action Disney Plus Star Wars series. Because when this idea was planted a couple of weeks ago, we both kind of said, let's just not include Kenobi because that's going to be everyone's number 1. And then it officially got announced, which kind of did the job for us.
Yeah, so took it away, yeah.
This would be the 4th one. So we've all got 5 ideas. This could be anything from anything you can imagine. What's going to be a Star Wars Disney Plus series you want to see? Myself, I've got 5 days. I've got 5. Phil sent us a list of 5. Fortunately, 2 of them are animated, so I'm just going to give them a top 3. Sorry, Phil. But Dave, if you want to take away with your 5th choice.
Yeah, we'll take it straight into my 5th choice in here. What I'm going to do, just bring it up on there and bring this up on there as well. So yes, my first one is and will be Rogue Squadron. That would be a awesome show. Sorry, I'm just messing around with things. We're still learning this technology. That's fine. Let's sit behind there. So Rogue Squadron is my first choice. This for me would be an excellent show, and the style I would want this in, and it might sound a bit weird, but in a later Fast and the Furious movie, like they have a set mission and off they go, but flying around everywhere and really fast fighters, things like that, I think is what I would really like to see from a show based on Rogue Squadron. I would really like to see a set. Doesn't need to be people that we know of, so it doesn't have to be famous pilots. It could be just people in that squadron. But yeah, as a Fast and the Furious style, 5 to what are we on 9 now? Fast Furious 9, sort of mission films, but really into the technology of the vehicles.
That would be fun. I mean, as well with Rogue Squadron, we kind of have a little glimpse of Rogue One, and I think there's a lot of potential with that. And I think this one thing that people have been. There's not been enough space battles with the new films. I think that's one thing worth saying. Now, apparently it's going to be on in the new film. There is, in theory, one in every Star Wars film. But that's something I feel that everyone believes has been sorely missed. You had a glimpse of it with Rogue One, while you had obviously everything happening together. But I think that's something a lot of people would want to see, and something that you could imagine being incredible if they do go for this home setup.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's they could really do it. And I think now, especially even on they don't need a massive TV budget now to do special effects of ships flying around anymore. You see them in fairly basic shows now, and I think the special effects are getting to a point where I mean, yes, we've seen things like The Mandalorian that looks like it's had 100 million spent on it. You can see every dollar that's gone into it, but I don't think it needs to be that amazing. Wise, I don't think they have to have millions and millions spent on it, but I think it would be, for me, that would be my first show that I'd really like to see them come up with and do on there. I'd really love to see the ships just absolutely beasting around on missions.
So I think it'd be fun. So for my fifth choice, I've gone for something a little bit different. I'm not calling it Saw Gerrera. That's the kind of idea for it. I think when you throw yourself out to Rogue One, by far one of the most interesting thing and scenes is seeing him leading his sort of band of rebels. And that kind of made me think of a sort of Band of Brothers. I would love to see a Band of Brothers style Star Wars show following Saw Gerrera and his group of mercenaries, rebels, whatever you want to call them, to be wreaking havoc across the galaxy. We know through not just Rogue One, through Rebels, even teasers of it in Clone Wars, this is a guy that's been around. He's an experienced sort of war veteran. You want to see how crazy he's become. A short series just displaying him and his troops going around. I mean, there wouldn't be much to it, but I think that could be real good fun and kind of not built. I mean, I know Rogue One is there to build up Episode 4, but that could really build up them for Rogue One, because one of the main things I feel you miss with Rogue One is, why is Saw Gerrera so important? Obviously, we know that for the reshoots, they changed his scenes and his appearances, but I would have loved to have seen more, because just the creature designs on his people were one of the highlights of the new series as well. Their little version, not of the cantina, but in each film they've kind of had, here's the alien sort of tracking shot. His one was by far the funnest one.
The creepy uncle of Bib Fortuna still freaks me out a little bit with that skinny bit around his neck. Still hate that. Literally frightens me. Yeah, this sounds awesome. And there's such a big gap from the guy who was just starting to become almost a terrorist in Clone Wars, and he wanted to go around and blow things up, to the Saw Gerrera we see in Rogue One. So there's a massive time frame as well, I think, for Saw Gerrera to learn about this. And I love how you came up with that sort of the Band of Brothers feel, where he's got this gang and they're out and they're doing missions again. I just think it would be a really nice place to see. And I think it would be a good sort of setting for them as well, that Band of Brothers set. Obviously, maybe not in the World War, but around the time that they want to set it in between the Clone Wars timeline and Rogue One. And I think it would be a really nice set, especially to see the people who more working around Saw, like you say, so you wouldn't have to concentrate on Saw Gerrera as your main person as well. He could be there, and he's obviously the big name in there, but all of the troops around him, I would be really, really fascinating to see exactly how they became the armor they were, and why they're so well sought after by the rebels as well. I'm really interested in finding him again because of what he can do for them.
Yeah, I think it's only a short amount of time, if you think, between where Rebels sort of finished, where they put him in it, but you never saw. We all thought that Rebels would have his origin, I guess is a fair way of saying it.
Yeah.
How did he lose his legs? How did he go from that to that? But they never really showed it. They teased his plot points with the Death Star.
Yeah.
But they never, they didn't need to show it, but you saw him there, and him literally 2 years later. You want to know what's happened in that 2 years, and I think that'd be really good fun.
I absolutely agree. I think that'd be an awesome concept for a show. Are we ready for that? Shall I move on to my next choice?
Yeah.
Okay, so my next show, moving on from my Fast and Furious scheme, kind of a new one here, which is going to change this over, and I'm going to really revisit something we've had before. So 1313, sort of Underworld, I think it was also called at one point, was, if you don't know, a LucasArts game that was being made at the time. It even had its trailer preview, came out, looked amazing, was then told us later that this is going to be a Boba Fett story. But it was looking at Coruscant and down into level 1313 of Coruscant. Now, in that level, it is all about crime and the gangsters and that, as it says, the underworld of the belly, where you don't see the Jedi and Coruscant. This is where people don't go. If you don't want to be found, you head to this. And I think it will be really good for maybe not like a gangster, but not like a Law and Order, but like a really gritty crime detective-y sort of series set around that world. So not focusing on 1313 was a Boba Fett story to kind of shoehorn him in, I think, for the game itself. But just in that world, I think would be really interesting in how the justice works down there. If it is even a justice system itself, that would be looking at the crimes that go on there. I think it could be a really interesting take on the Star Wars universe where you don't have to have at all anybody you've ever seen or heard of before. This is just going to be week on week, new cast of characters. Obviously, you'd have your main lead detective, police officer in whatever would be the Star Wars world. But yeah, I'd really like to see a really, really down and gritty crime procedural.
I think as well when Disney took over, that was the two big things were resetting canon, eradicating the EU, and kind of killing LucasArts.
Yeah, that was a really unfortunate side of it, but yeah.
I think with LucasArts, I think the biggest, I don't want to say criticism, but the biggest issue with that was because of this game, how far into it they were. Yeah. I think they didn't just have trailer, like gameplay, like it was. I'm guessing online somewhere there's a percentage of how much it was done, but this was real. Like, this is happening. This is a release date. Here is E3, Gamescom, whatever.
Yeah.
It was all there. They'd been there, done all of them, and then it was just cuts, done. Now I can understand to this day why LucasArts was shut down. Disney kind of says it's a lot more expensive to have a studio running when they don't have enough games coming out, rather than just hire out a license. So I've always understood that, as bad as it is. But losing 1313, they've kind of said some of it might crop into Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So couldn't they? I mean, you don't really know how much you can get, but the more news that you heard over the years of this kind of made it more disappointing. And I think there's enough in there for them to do a series, and I think it'd be something very interesting to like the average person as well, just seeing something brand new.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So are we moving on to my number 4? I've gone for something really obvious, boring, but something I think a lot of people want to see, which is, I don't really know I don't know what to call it. P&P? PP? Don't know.
I love P&P.
Plagueis and Palpatine. It's kind of like the Muppets. So the issue with this is that Plagueis was obviously, Snoke wasn't Plagueis. Get on with it. Stop crying. Plagueis isn't Snoke. There's a story to be told there. I want to see this so-called, wise Lord. Whether we're going to find out some more in December, who knows? Maybe he'll be brought up, we don't know. But there's something fascinating about seeing like a young Palpatine sort of not learning the dark side, but you kind of, what you have with sort of, I would say, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan more so than Obi-Wan and Anakin. That connection you get with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, I would love to see, but via the dark side. And, Darth Plagueis the Wise. Here we go. The series name, the Tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
The choices you presented when obviously we sent our lists out, so we had them to sort of get some screens and things like that. This one probably intrigued me more and made me sort of like, I would love to see this show, because if we know background, I've read the Plagueis novel, but it was a long time ago when it first came out. I read that. But that interpretation of Palpatine wanting to rise over him and learn what he can from his master and then destroy him is something that power display between the two and the training between the two, I think would be really, really interesting. I don't think you could base like maybe a long series on it, but we know Disney, as D23 have announced, they're doing some movies that are made solely for Disney Plus. Lady and the Tramp is an example where they're doing a movie, but that's just for Disney Plus. It's not going to be out there for anything else. It's only on their service. So I think this could be maybe a one-off as a one-punch story, or maybe a short form series. So you only maybe 5-6 episodes.
Being like like Loki's been confirmed as like a 6-episode run. Because some series are going to get multiple seasons, and I'm definitely going to risk Wednesday. I don't want to see more than one series of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I think it's nice that they're doing this, and it seems almost like some of them now looking at the British form of how we do a series, that we do 6 episodes and it's enough to kind of give you what you need. Whereas they're normally like, it's a season, it's 18, it's 23 episodes, which in some series is just too long. I don't know if you looked at, if you watched the Marvel TV series, the Daredevil and the Jessica Jones.
They were 13, so
13, and even they felt like it could have been done in 10. Like, it's just felt still a bit like filler episodes because they need to fill this 13 space. So yeah, but if it was a short form series, 6 episodes, absolutely intrigued by Plagueis and Palpatine, the double Ps.
It would be. It's something where there's so much story that, I mean, obviously Palpatine you'd have thought his story was over if it had been March, but now we're like 4 months away from episode 9. We're kind of like, oh, so he's back, you know?
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
Not that we have his rise to power as the Emperor, but everybody would like, even if they're like a younger, I didn't care when. Just I would like to see how he transitioned into something, not to prequel the prequels, but there's something there. And I see people like, oh, we need Darth Maul, and kind of like, do you though? Like, do you? We've got his entire arc. Just like
we're not told
like
all there is
films.
to tell now.
Yeah, like every Darth Maul's been
Rebels, fill yourself in.
But like Plagueis, but like just put a face to the name, because people aren't still sure if it's canon and it's not canon. Some say, some say it's not. There's so much there, but that'd be interesting. And if you had a very young actor play Ian McDermott, but yeah, if you had a young, it'd just be fascinating to see the training. 6 episodes, 6 great episodes done.
Yeah, and I just think you're right. Plagueis has been a character now that when the first went to Disney, they were like, oh, everything's canon. The movies are canon, the Clone Wars are canon. And then the Plagueis novel came out, and I think at first it was like, yeah, this is a canon novel, but that kind of seems to have drifted away a bit. And I think it might be because of what we're getting maybe in 9, that we're going to maybe, like you say, we're going to learn something else that's new information. And we're going to talk about more on Wednesday, because we're hoping to get some further information tomorrow as well. But I can't wait to see this. But yeah, to learn more about Plagueis and his training to be in Sith training, I think it would be really, really interesting to where he takes it. Because obviously we've seen maybe the seeds of that with Palpatine to Anakin, planting the seeds of this, not training him, but starting him on that path to say, well, I could teach you this and I could teach you that, and we get all of that, but from a much more, you're here to be a Sith, let's just get straight into it.
Yeah, exactly that, and they'd be very intrigued. So, moving on to yours.
Yes, so my next show would be a comedy show, maybe So what I've gone for here is Death Star, in very much the same way as you have The Office. I would want the Death Star.
Sorry to jump in. British or American Office?
Oh, totally British, because of because of your the way they portray the officers are always British, so it would have to be British Death Star, and literally done in the style of The Office. I think would be brilliant, like a really satirical take on how they behave. You would need a Brent type character. You could have literally a fly in the wall sort of look. So this would be literally a full on comedy series. It wouldn't be played for straight. I know sometimes Disney don't like that. We've seen how they bin D2ers off a full 2 series, I believe they've got of that, like loads of episodes. Like, we can't have it be funny, but I think it would be a really nice look. You don't have to have your comedy being, you don't have to be Tarkin, who's your Brent character, or Vader. You just have someone who's in charge of a lot of the Imperials, and I think it would just be a really nice take on, especially that time, like full 70s British officers would be really funny.
Would it be a little bit like and Starkiller and Undercover Kylo Ren? Like,
actually, yes, you know what? It would be a little like that take on it, where you just see the insides of how everything worked. So you'd be in the canteens, you'd be in the bathroom stalls talking. It would just be all these people who are working on the Death Star. I think there's such a basis for obviously how many people were on that thing when it blew up, that it would be a really nice take on how you looked at what was going on around the time. And obviously you could build it around the time that the rebels are just starting to prepare attacking. So that could be big points of conversation and mocking the rebels. For me, that would play out really well, especially, like you say, a really dry British version of it, not the American one. The American one's fine. The American Office is great because I love Steve Carell, but really dry British take on it, I think would be amazing with the Death Star officers.
I think with Star Wars as well, not that it's really been done to Disney, but Lucas loved a parody.
Yeah, he really did.
He was so honest with the license. Like, yeah, parody it.
Family Guy episode or real short.
And I think it was a case of it wasn't them just jumping a parody lore in and saying, yeah, we can do this. It was him like, do you want the rights?
Yeah.
Like that's the vibe I had from like him. I mean, he went on to he did voices on Robot Chicken. Like he was so open to it. And I know that's something Disney haven't liked.
Yeah.
I know they're very protective. Maybe they'll open the doors a bit after 9. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. That once 9's out,
once they finish their story out, yeah.
I think that it will very much settle down because the last thing they'd want is a parody to end up predicting the ending of a saga.
To mock characters that are now still playing out, I guess. Once you've got your Skywalker saga finished, fair play of what you then say about it because you've got your story set aside and no one's thinking about those characters before they've seen the movie in a certain way.
Was it Wreck-It Ralph 2 where they said they had a cameo for Kylo Ren and he was going to have a hissy fit? And then Disney, Lucas said, you can use all of this, but we're not letting you have that one. Which I understand why.
Oh, no, I absolutely get as well. That there are certain things that you don't want to be parodied when you've got a very serious ending of a huge 9-story saga coming, and you don't want your main character to be looked at like, oh, I saw him in Wreck-It Ralph 2. No, not so much. You'll see him in episode 9 first, then maybe you'll see him other places. But until he's finished with that, you're seeing him nowhere but our film.
I just want Matt the radar technician to come back.
Oh, have you?
I know in Resistance there's going to be the costumes are there. So
yes, I saw that the other day. That made me chortle a lot because they're literally in the radio technician. Obviously, they're going to probably call them radio technicians as well, which I found brilliant to take something from SNL and literally they're going to put it into Star Wars.
Well, one of the guys, I mean, I know I don't watch Resistance, it's the wrong chat, but one of the guys in Resistance is the SNL comedian that did the sketch with Adam Driver, which is kind of quite nice when it's going to balance out.
Yeah, it's a really nice take. It's something really to put in there that no one else, if they say, oh, I'm a radio technician, that's not taking anything, but if anyone's seen the SNL sketch, it has another level to it. But yeah, that would be my next show, The Office, but a Death Star version.
Right. So my third choice is going back to British things. If any of you have heard of The Crown, it's going to be a 6-season Netflix series about the Queen. Every 2 series is going to change the entire cast, have a young, middle-aged, and old. So I kind of thought, wow, one person who is British, a gentleman, it's Christopher Lee. Now, obviously, he's not with us anymore. But I know they've just done an audiobook drama thing of a young Count Dooku. I kind of thought that's nice. Wouldn't it have been so much better if you could have had this series chronicling this, upper class? I mean, I haven't read this book, but I know tidbits of it, that he was from a wealthy family of this area. He fell out with the Jedi and he left the Order. He did not leave and become a Sith on the spot. I'm guessing they'll explore that in the future, but I kind of thought that it's a very long-term project, and I would love to see that in a TV format. And the other thing these shows do, not Mandalorian included, I'm hoping with Cassian, I'm sure there will be one, they're going to affect your opinion on the saga. It's kind of like it's like the spin-off films.
Yeah.
The TV opens up so much more doors, makes it so much more flexible. You could see this series and then be like, have him starting off as not a Padawan, but have him at a younger age, have him teaching a young Qui-Gon Jinn, have him leaving the Jedi Order, have him. Obviously, the older he gets, the harder it's going to be because you can't have Christopher Lee. You don't want to do the Grand Moff Tarkin solution, but you could definitely get middle-aged Christopher Lee going, get an actor. I would just love to see it. I want to see everything about him. He's one of the most interesting Star Wars characters that has had almost until recently has had no explanation in the current canon. So I think that's someone that could really benefit from this, and I think everyone would want to see it.
I think it's a really nice pull, especially when you mentioned around the Crown, so you're getting this full-on story of where he comes from and his lineage.
By Yoda, right?
Absolutely, that's got to be what happened. I believe there is something. There might be a novel out there, maybe?
They've just released this audio. They're calling it like an audio story.
An audio drama, isn't it? Like an audio, yeah.
And they're just turning into a book. So, apparently, sorry, that
I've heard a snippet.
Yeah, I think I don't know when it starts, but all I know is that it just explains him leaving the Jedi Order, and it doesn't venture into becoming Sith, which I'm guessing means they'll do that another time. But there's so much more to the story. Because rewatching 2 as a kid, you just assumed he was a normal Jedi that just got turned on the spot.
Yeah.
No one's aware of, he's a count. You forget that means he's wealthy. He's from a wealthy
come
background.
from a big family background, some big aristocracy stood behind him to then have this gifted Jedi. Did they know that when he left? Was he given to this Jedi Order when he was young? As he found his way there later, he paid himself out of his you're right, there's so many avenues you could go down, and to have someone who would then come in and play Christopher Lee, well, you know what, that's to me is a British actor's dream, to go in there. So we want you to be young Christopher Lee, go watch a boatload of old Hammer horror films, watch these perform, go watch Gremlins 2, the new batch, and don't nobody at all go watch Gremlins 2, the new batch, never. But yeah, I think it'd be amazing.
I think it's someone that you want to see more of in Star Wars, but that would be my third choice. Bit different, but something definitely as a long-term project I would be very intrigued by.
Oh no, I think it's an absolutely awesome choice, my friend. So yeah, my fourth choice is probably, again, going back to something that is picked out probably by everybody and sundry when they want to talk about a character. And that character is Ahsoka Tano. Now, from a character that came into Clone Wars and was roundly hated, roundly chastised by fans everywhere, to become probably, out of anything that's been created by Lucas post prequels, is now probably one of the biggest fan favorite characters to have come out in the past decade. Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. I was very late to Clone Wars. I say very late. No, that's wrong, actually. I started watching Clone Wars, I believe, as they announced Maul. So season 3 had ended, and I think 4 had a trailer of them in. So I remember binging it. I must have been like 13, 14. Star Wars wasn't cool at that point again. It had gone, not downhill, but no one spoke about it.
Yeah.
It was very niche. And I remember hating the Clone Wars movie. I bloody despised it. And then I didn't like her in the first 2 seasons. And then I got to Series 3 and I just not out of boredom, no, nothing like that. I caught up with the real life air dates. And I don't like to wait for TV. I really don't like watching shows weekly. I like to binge them. I do obviously do some shows weekly if I need to, but I really struggled. So I didn't watch Clone Wars till past it got cancelled. Probably I'm thinking 2015 when in the hype to Force Awakens, I bought the box set. I watched all of them. I haven't watched the last episodes. I'm sure they'll be on Disney Plus, but I remember saying, I remember what we've got to the film. Because the film, the early seasons, and obviously it got a bit of reputation online. And as it just progressed, and this isn't just Clone Wars, I think Ahsoka kind of resembles that. The quality. I mean, the show had good stuff early on, but it was the balance between the good and the not so good, which was the struggle. And when you hit season 4 or 5, you've got some of the best content Star Wars ever had.
Yeah,
which is very fair saying. Again, that's the benefit of TV, the small screen. You can tell so much more of your story, and Ahsoka's the center of all of that. They honestly, I'm not going to sit here and never said a bad word because I didn't enjoy it at the start. And very aware, and I've got it, and she wasn't the best written character, but they, Filoni, Lucas, Ashley Eckstein, they kind of evolved her into by far one of the most interesting characters in canon. Then to bring her back in Rebels as well as an integral part was really cool to see. So she is someone I think would benefit from something like this. And her story is still open.
Exactly. There is such a gap between where she left in Clone Wars to then come back in Rebels, and certainly where she left Rebels by being pulled into timey-wimey space time with Ezra. Don't frown, it's going to become part of episode 9. You know it is. And then it's going to be major point. But there's a big jump from that, from where she was there to where she turns up as well again. After we know it's after Return of the Jedi. And I think there is a big story to be told. And I think she's such a great character. I think she could very much hold her own series. Again, maybe not a massive long series, but like a Mandalorian, 8 episodes is a really nice, tight arc to fit a story in. You don't have to do too much to fill out 8 episodes of story, especially if you're rocking through an hour. which we're probably looking Disney Plus won't have ads, obviously, so you're probably looking at probably without ads, you're probably going to get probably close to an hour for an actual show rather than your 42 minutes or whatever a standard TV show is. But I think she's just the perfect character because she carries so much of Anakin with her as well. She is a big part of him, and to have her, there are still people out there who won't have watched Clone Wars, won't have watched Rebels, who have seen her build into this character, know of her, but don't have a full backstory of watching her. And I think it'd be really interesting to see that story become live action and part of the major film canon or TV canon.
There's a lot there, and that's why we know that it's a story people want. And again, reputation follows, and that's what I think would be great.
Absolutely.
We're moving on from this. I'm going to go to my second choice, which is a very safe choice, a very boring choice, but maybe one of the right choices. This is #MakeSolo2. I was very mixed. No, I don't say I was very mixed and Solo start. I had no hype going into it. It was a fair way. I think even with you guys, I said,
yeah,
I'm really not looking forward to this. There's just something not right. I don't know. I love Last Jedi, but it was just too close. There wasn't a good marketing campaign, and there was a lot of questions in the episode too. I've really enjoyed I've really enjoyed it. And I've still only seen it, I think, like 3 or 4 times. In comparison, I saw Force Awakens 6, Rogue One 5, Episode 8 4, and at the cinema I saw Solo once. So I didn't see it till the Blu-ray. I didn't see it from the Blu-ray release date up until my flight to Chicago.
Yeah.
Then I saw it again like a month later when I was ill. And I kind of thought that it got better with reviewing, and it's not perfect. Don't get me wrong, but it's not this box office flop people kind of say it is. That I get why people don't like it, but I feel with time this one's really evolved, and I know there's this. I don't want to say it's a big movement because I don't think it's a big movement. This #MakeSolo2, it's been noticed, but it's not a big movement. And I kind of thought that Solo would have been the perfect Star Wars TV series. With the dramas this Solo could be the reason why we're getting more TV and not films. Because Rogue One, we've gone on record so many times. By far, I think the best Disney film they've done.
By a country mile. It's saga worthy.
Wouldn't you have liked Rogue One to have been 8 hours on TV?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to have seen the band coming together and the attack on Scarif being a much bigger entity as well. And you're right, it could have played so much better over episodic television.
And you can say about any Star Wars film, of course, we want 8 hours of all of them. But Solo's one that stuck with me when I thought, it doesn't need a sequel. They've ticked the Millennium Falcon box, they've ticked the Lando box, they've ticked the Dice box, they've ticked every box you needed to, except Jabba the Hutt, who is, let's be honest, teased.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The end of Solo is literally, I'm off to see Jabba the Hutt, basically, without saying Jabba the Hutt too much. It would have been great. And you're right, this show would work, that film would work perfect. Would have got more Woody Harrelson, and that's always a good thing. It would work so well as a TV show. And I really like Aiden as Han Solo. I really enjoyed his performance in this film. I love Chewbacca in this. They worked so well. As when I saw it the first time in the build-up, you're right, it's like, he's not Harrison Ford, that's not Han Solo. About 10 minutes in that film, he was Han Solo, and you totally accepted it for that as well.
Yeah, and I think this would suit the small screen. A sequel, it doesn't need to be 8 episodes. You can have, because let's be honest, with Jabba the Hutt, the guy's not going to wait 9 years till he gets agreed to try and kill him in a bar. There's going to be a good relationship to begin with. So I think it'd be fascinating not to introduce like everything up front, but if you introduced him at Jabba's palace, you could create a relationship there. You could, again, not needlessly, but you could introduce Greedo or Boba Fett or something somewhere. If you want to carry on with the Kira storyline, you can. Can't do too much with it because of Maul. Maul does not need to meet Han Solo. I said Harrison Ford then. So I think Solo 2 would have been very interesting. There's one character who I don't want to be in it, who I will talk about later on. But I think Solo 2, if they did decide to pursue it, I also feel it would be Disney Plus. And I reckon a lot of this cast are tied down on contracts too.
Oh, without a single shadow of a doubt that these guys aren't just contracted for that one movie they did just because it didn't work as financially well as they wanted to. But Disney admitted that was their fault that they released at the wrong time. That should have been the next December movie, and it would probably been massive. It would have been way bigger than it was, at least doubled what it took. I have no doubt about that. But yeah, so that us with that one as well.
We are done with that. So now we're moving on to each of our number one choice. Before we moved on to number one choice, I thought Phil did send us literally before we pressed go live. He sent us a list of his options. He sent us 5. We did ask for live action. Phil sent us 2 animated, so we've literally culled them. Unfortunately, Phil, you should have listened to the actual instruction. But he's out in Poland. It's fine. He probably didn't quite get it through. So, George, do you want to take us through Phil's just quickly, and we'll. Yes. So his third choice is Rise of the Empire, set after Episode 3. Now, sorry, Phil. I'm quite sure Episode 3 is the Rise of the Empire. I see where he's coming from.
Yeah, I see where it's going. That he wants that build-up of, yep, now we've got we just saw the Death Star being started to be built. And what they say, it's a 20-year gap from there to, 19. Yeah, it will be 20 years for New Hope as well. So it's literally bordering each other, aren't they? So you've got a 20-year period where they're going out and just becoming this tyranny around the galaxy. So yeah, I can see that as a nice episode where you just focus on the Empire as well. I don't think you need that episode. You would not need to see anything of the rebels at all. Just all planets being purged by.
The scene in Solo. One of my favorite scenes is that that officer who's there like, why are we fighting? He's like, for the gun of the Empire, and he like runs off. And does he die first thing or?
Literally just blown up. Yeah, that's when Harryhausen gets put in charge. Yeah.
I love the little things like that, and that's what essentially it could be, just them decimating planets upon planets. Bring in Jeddah, bring in. There was another planet which I've forgotten, which I was going to bring up, but I can see where he's coming from. I think it'd be very interesting because they don't just take control. It's like what they've been saying about the Mandalorian. The Empire didn't just fall, and the Republic was built in a day. There's no government, and I'm so intrigued to see the politics side of the Mandalorian. Believe it or not, politics in Star Wars is a good thing.
it really can be.
I live at people's the prequels that need to have politics, and they're like, dude, like the Ewoks are the Vietnamese soldiers. Like,
don't mention the war. I think we're allowed to. We're British. It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah, we don't need that one.
So moving on to Phil's next one down was a series set after Aftermath, establishing the New Republic while dealing with the remaining Imperial strongholds and rise in piracy as well. So this one, I'm guessing, I've not read any of those books. I know Phil is massively into the Star Wars side of it, but this for me, I can see exactly where he wants to see. Obviously, we've seen the piracy side and the Empire have fallen, so it's the crumbling relics of that and how the First Order then kind of took up the reins of that. Because I would like to know myself, to be honest, how we kind of just don't see it. There's just this new entity who took over. And it'd be nice to see that gap to say, well, exactly how did they take over? The Emperor's dead, which he's not. He's somewhere in timey-wimey space places. Well, between worlds, give it a watch. So it'd be nice to see exactly how they decided to come on and where Snoke became this puppet of Palpatine to start this uprising again. So I think will be some really interesting stories to tell in that.
I'd be intrigued. I think there's a lot there. There's a lot going on, and there's so much. So we know that Mandalorian, they keep saying there's no government. This is how the bounty hunters kind of, the outskirts, I guess, kind of dealt with it. So seeing the core Republic be built would be very interesting. As I haven't read Aftermath trilogy, I know they touch upon little bits of the politics, but that'd be very interesting to see. And then his very first, are we done with that one? Sorry?
Yeah.
His first choice is a series on the first Jedi / first Sith. So
jump into not even Old Republic. I think he's going even further back.
Old Republic. Yeah,
that was my take on it. Yeah,
this is kind of like Luke's Island, like a series on Skellig Michael.
And another island that the Sith inhabit, and they're just firing like
it's the neighboring island. You can always see one in the background. That there's like a second one. They're just like lobbing like stones over the Force at each other.
obviously all George and I are going is what Phil gave us, that series set in the first Jedi and first Sith. Yeah, we all go way back, and obviously that's not an hour ahead, so we don't really know how Phil would have fully explained it, but I'm sure it would be an excellent explanation, and we'd be into that as well. But to find out, I guess those really early, like this is the guys who first started the religions and how they fractured, because I'm guessing they all started in the same place. They're not going to be, we're going to be Jedi, we're going to be Sith. They're going to have all started this one religion, probably not even called Jedi, Sith, and then once that broke apart. So I think there is an interesting tale to tell in there, a tale of sort of old religion, and that would be kind of cool, like Bravehearty sort of thing. Would be really kind of gritty and Star Wars. I know these are children's films, but we're in Disney Plus series now. We can get dark and awful.
Yeah, they didn't sanction Kenobi for kids to watch. That was sanctioned for grown adults.
Oh yeah,
sorry.
That was an announcement to make grown men cry and grown ladies cry.
Create a new generation of memes.
Oh yes.
Imagine the day the first trailer drops, the memes that will just be found.
Literally everything's going to just have hello there and whatever the first image is. That will be first that drops. The first image we get, everyone will literally hashtag hello there will be the thing.
The head of Lucasfilm's social media, she sent a tweet off her personal account saying like, by far the best ever social media post I will ever be able to write in my career. And it was attached was the Lucasfilm, hello there, Ewan McGregor confirmed. I was like, yeah, she's probably right.
Well played, yeah.
Imagine being the person who got to tweet that.
Oh, I can't wait to get to Wednesday so we can literally discuss it at nauseum, to be honest. We've got going to have so much to go through. There wasn't a massive amount of news, but what came out, excellent.
Talking points. So, moving on to your final choice. What is the Star Wars Disney Plus show you want to see the most?
The one I want to see probably the most, and I know George will be really down for this show. That's right. It's the Orson Krennic Hour. I want to see Orson Krennic and his Death Troopers unleashing all kinds of tyranny and empire building and making people work places they don't want to work and build things they don't want to build. And I just think a series with Orson Krennic would be absolute perfection. And it has to be this era. It has to be played by the one and only Mendelsohn himself. Not Mendelsohn.
Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn.
Sorry, I almost thought I was... sorry, guy who played... Yeah, I got mixed up with my characters there. But yeah, Mendelsohn, I was right. So it has to be played by him. It can't be anybody else. I want to see more of Krennic. I adore his character. Him in Rogue One is an absolute standout. And the more I can see of him hamming it up to camera, the better.
He is by far the best thing about Rogue One. And there's a lot of brilliant things about Rogue One, but nothing has come close to Ben Mendelsohn. Attached asterisk by Ben Mendelsohn, Krennic, the asterisk is Death Troopers at the side of him.
Yes.
There is no sweetest sight. I saw that Mandalorian trailer. Does it look like there's Death Troopers? I think so. But
it really does.
About their leader in his white cape. They are.
Yeah, that's a shame. They found someone else to follow. But yeah,
I mean, Death Troopers is a bad choice, but seeing Krennic
and the Krennic mobile he would travel around on.
Yeah, that he gets like imagine like Michael Sheen to come back like here's an entire series. We just need you to compose his theme every time he walks off his ship. Like I just love some of the. I think one of my favorite things on Rogue One is that moment when he lands in Scarif and there's like a different Krennic theme, and it's just like his steps just marching, and they're like, "Here we go." I think it'd be fascinating. I mean, I tried. I'm really not good at the Star Wars books. I've always kind of struggled reading them. I'm not sure why. I've always said I see Star Wars as like a visual medium without sounding like a
No, I get that.
I know there's a place in literature, but I do try, but it doesn't work as much for me. I started reading, was it Catalyst when it came out? And it was just like, it was essentially like Ben Mendelsohn during the Clone Wars. And I was just sat there like, I think there was a scene where it's like, he began the year at the back of not the Senate, but there's a room with like a small council. And like, I just remember a chapter was going about how over the year, like he's befriended everyone and worked his way down to the front. And they're like, I would pay to see Ben Mendelsohn do that. Just him swinging. Like he is
scheming his way up the empire, the corporate ladder he'd just be perfect at it. You saw him in Ready Player One.
And is Krennic in the new Thrawn book as well?
I've not read it, but I couldn't tell you.
But yeah, Rogue One, he's great. He makes a Star Wars reference. If anyone has seen, oh my god, I forgot the name of it. When he won his Emmy, it was for a very, very incredible show. Well, season 1 was incredible. He wasn't on any other season, except flashbacks and whatnot. It went downhill very, very quickly. I cannot believe I forgot the name of it. But that was like a new Netflix show. I encourage everybody to go out and see it. And it was just seeing him in his own, even thinking like Captain Marvel, any film he's in, I kind of instantly get drawn to it.
Yeah. He's the kind of actor, and don't get us wrong, his roles haven't sort of differentiated massively from Krennic, that kind of upper corporate. I said Ready Player One, he was pretty much playing. It was almost Krennic. It was very Krennic-esque, and I say I could watch him all day doing. He could be sitting just humming to himself, and I'd still want to watch it.
He seems amazing, and he seems so. Not humble, because he kind of comes across, but he seems so likable. In any interview you ever see him in, like, he's so encouraging. And I think GQ did a really good video where he breaks down his career, and like they ask him about Dark Knight Rises. He's a really minor business villain. He said, like, I was asked to be in the biggest film in the world at the minute. He's like, what kind of a person would say no? And they talk about Star Wars, and his like reaction is just like, I got to film with Darth Vader. Like, there's no one can come close to him.
Yeah,
I would love to see. And the thing is, Ben Mendelsohn's like the kind of guy that would be down to come back to.
Oh, without a single shadow of a doubt, he'd be massively ready to come back and play that character. He came out at Celebration in full costume, just because probably he could, and that was amazing to see live and up close. And I'd love to see him don that white cape again.
I really hope he does. I'm sure I can't wait for Lego Star Wars. Oh no, they're not putting Rogue One in there.
No, Rogue One not seen in this game.
On my house keys, I've got like a Lego Krennic, which I've had since I went to Disneyland. Which is the cape is kind of still white. It just gets day at a time. I kind of feel like I've sorted it. But I think everyone would want to watch that show. It'd be big.
Up to right.
So my number one show is something teased in Solo. It is the Calrissian Chronicles. From the day he sat down in his Falcon and put the little hologram up to himself talking, welcome to the episode, I kind of thought that what an incredible anthology series. You want to bring Billy Dee Williams into it, have it set with him at an older age, finding like an old... I mean, if anyone's in the True Detective Season 3, you've got like the same character 3 times, same actor doing 3 different eras, but picture like Billy Dee Williams going through all of his stuff. He comes across this little holo projector, and it's him reminiscing all his tales in the past. And it's Donald Glover returning. And we don't need to see him trying to get the Falcon back. It can be anything from him winning the Falcon to betting, from him being a swindler, him being a sportsman, post-Solo, whatever they want to do. You have a multi-series connection here. That everyone, it'd be like How I Met Your Mother, essentially, right? Where like you've got like Billy Dee in the future, and like, like 100 kids. What did Billy Dee say to the races?
How I became your father.
Yeah, it's like everyone. How would you not want to see it? And Donald Glover returning?
That's exactly. I mean, just like we've been saying about Ben Mendelsohn, again, anything Donald Glover does, I will partake in, listen to. He is incredible. And if a couple of George's choices, Solo 2 has happened, or the Chronicles, the Calrissian Chronicles to happen, it has to be Donald Glover to play that role. And to see him so suave, so smooth, going through all of his, probably so much action you could have in that film, blasters as well as bad, good times. I think he would be just absolutely amazing in that kind of series. And I don't want that to be 8 episodes. I want that to be 100 episodes. Just that's all I want to say. It would be amazing.
They just keep him going through time. You can just have him Donald Glover doing it for 30 years till he turns into Billy Dee Williams.
Until one episode, it just starts new and it's just Billy Dee playing the role and just like, yep, we're here now. Oh my word!
And then it finishes with him beginning in episode 9. If that is the end of his character arc.
Yes, I was going to say when the door opens to the Falcon and Empire, and that door slides, but from Lando's perspective.
Oh yeah.
So that's where he's introduced the movie.
How he gets control of Cloud City.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine like how that just how on earth did that happen?
How he's keeping the Empire away. And
imagine him being like, oh, so I'm an administrator of this place now, and he has this like big reality, like, oh,
this deal's getting better all the time. Not for long, Billy. Not for long.
It would just be incredible to see.
It really would.
The name has been said in Solo. It's there if you need it.
That's the thing. They've got a title ready. They don't even need anything else. It's just, this is what it's going to be. You've got the premise there. It's already done. Like, you just take that bit out of Solo and go, like they did with Rogue One. This bit of the crawl is what we want to do. This is this tiny bit of Solo, but that's our series. Awesomeness. That would be so good.
And it's there ready for us. So that was our first ever list. Could we say?
Yeah, that's our first official list. So we did like a pilot with it with the Lego where we just gave it a little trial. And I think we can kind of agree we've got this new StreamYard platform we're using. Makes it so much better that we can kind of put images on screen. It makes it so much easier to kind of give things out and then titles and things like that. So it's really helping. I think we're going to be doing this every other Sunday. So if we've got a Wednesday show, the Sunday before will be a list show. So not next Sunday, but the Sunday after, we'll be back with another one. And you get us twice in sort of Sunday to Wednesday, and then we disappear for a week and we come back the week after that. And I think, yeah, we've got a few things. If it's going to be a big event around Star Wars, we will try and theme it to, like we've done this today because of D23. And obviously, as we get closer to the Rise of Skywalker, you'll probably find some things more themed towards that as well as we find our way there. As I say, find our way there. This is happening fortnightly. That's not going to be very many shows before we are together in London watching a movie.
It's going to be incredible. The hotel has been secured. The release date confirmed, which we can discuss on Wednesday.
Yes.
America, we get it one day before you.
We'll our midnight, our 3 o'clock in the morning spoiler review for that one, America.
And Mandalorian would have finished and England won't have Disney Plus.
There is that side.
You know, we will cover it on time. You know, we've got so much money. We're just going to fly to America every Tuesday.
That's absolutely every week we're going to fly out.
No other way of getting that episode. We are going to America. We promise you we aren't going to.
I think it's on VPN Airlines we're flying with, I think. I've checked the tickets. Yeah. I think it's them.
Good price.
That has been our first episode of Execute Order Lists and Lists. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you are listening on the audio later back, obviously you haven't seen all of the beautiful images we've put up, but thank you very much for having to listen as well. We will be back. Well, you know what? We might be back tomorrow, but the light is we probably won't be enough to do one show on. We'll probably leave that till Wednesday. If you see us before then, all the better for you. If not, we'll see you on Wednesday with a brand new Ones of the Force of Star Wars podcast main show. And then again, 2 weeks we'll be back with another list show. Anything else you want to finish off with, George, before we close out?
I don't know how far into shows. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the usual stuff. Drop us a subscriber on Podbean. Find us on iTunes and many other podcast sites. We've had an increased social media coverage recently. We've got some D23 stuff up, and we are looking forward to jumping into the next couple of months. Not only do we have episode 9, we have Star Wars video games coming out. We have Mandalorian. We have other things. Lego Star Wars coming out too. There's a lot coming up, so stick with us. We'll be covering you with all the latest news, and join us on Wednesday.
Yeah, so until then, may the forces be with you. Oh, you know what? I was going for it. I was all ready, and then I screwed up. I'm so sorry, Phil.
It's Phil's special gift now.
It is Phil's gift. He has this thing in his head. I believe we've been Ones of the Force. May the Force be with you. Good night.